NHL Nightly with your host, the sportsman, a.k.a. Peter Lebowski, a.k.a. Jeremiah Maxwell. And with him, as always, maybe Pearlo, Wisdom, and Rico and Barry.
Hey, no Rico and Barry tonight, but we've got Mr. Pearlo, Wisdom, and Occupancy, as always. Little dark in California there, I guess. We got 3 more hours of daylight here in Alaska. Yes, it's only March. Oh, wait, it's not March. How you guys doing? Welcome to NHL Nightly. I'm your host, Jeremiah Maxwell. We've had a bunch of great games on. I'm sure you didn't have the Columbus Blue Jackets working the Colorado Avalanche 4-1. How's it going today, guys?
Back and forth. I didn't have that, no. But
no, nobody did. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things, but let's just go over the games here. I apologize. I'm bouncing around here a little bit off kilter. We may have a guest. But I'm going to reach out next week for early the week after I get back from the Frozen Four to see if we can get a couple of guys on to talk about their playoff teams. Pearlo, you obviously will represent the Edmonton area, and Occupancy, knock on wood. If your Islanders make it, you'll represent, but I'll try to get Kim. I'll see if we can. I'm going to get off the wall, I think, if he could make it for the Bruins. If he can, I'll reach out to Jake Reiser, who came on from Fans First Sports Network. Again, this show brought to you by Fans First Sports Network. I was going to say I got hired by Daily Faceoff as a joke, but I just couldn't. It just wasn't going to work. It's too choppy in the morning. Pearlo, you're looking brilliant, by the way, too. Your camera's coming in. Unbelievable. And Occupancy, you look like shit. What's happening? The world is upside down.
I gotta go get my blinds.
Yeah, something. You got to fix your lighting, my man. No worries. If you got to pop off to do some stuff, you're fine. I appreciate you being on time. Blue Jackets beat the Colorado Avalanche. The best player in the NHL, Alex Nylander, since the trade. Wow, he's been incredible. I'll drop him off here until he gets back so he can work out his lighting. Pittsburgh won 5-2, but I watched that game, and the Rangers had like 2 goals that were called back. One was the biggest horseshit call I've ever seen in my life. The Rangers could have won this game easily. They outshot them. Just the puck didn't bounce their way. So, I mean, if Pittsburgh played like that all year, they probably would be in the playoffs. Islanders give it up late. The Russian goalie comes in the second period, and he only gives up 1 goal. But the Islanders, they give up the late goal, 9 seconds left. I really would have liked to see that one in regulation, but Flyers are still alive. They lose it overtime, though. The Isles come back. Really shocked at this game. The Red Wings Lightning thought the Lightning had this game every time. I just didn't know. Could not see it. Red Wings won 4-2 in Tampa. Big shock win there. Maple Leafs up 5-1. Final score 6-4 makes sense. I had the Leafs to this game the whole time. In fact, you can check with the Daily Faceoff people because they picked my bet of the day. Leafs plus 105. They won. I just hadn't liked how the Florida Panthers have played of late, but the real Florida Panthers showed up in the third period. But if you're the Leafs, you're still down Marner. You're still down Riley. They looked really good. We got Oilers, Blues. That's 1-0, so nothing out of control there. And Kings, Jets. And I honestly think this is a significant game for the Jets. I think this really doesn't mean that much to the Kings. I think it's going to be hard for them to improve where they're at. I mean, they may be the third, but I think this is they're probably in the playoffs. In fact, I think the West is set. I think the Jets need to win this game, and they're playing like it. They have 12 shots on goal. And then we got another game, Seattle and the Sharks. That doesn't drop till 10:30 Eastern, so Maybe our guest will come on and we'll see what that is happening. But look, I mean, you don't want to count the Sharks out. They just beat the Blues 4-0 over the weekend. Who had that one? I mean, I sure didn't. I don't know where you guys are at. So pretty crazy. Yeah, so I wanted to talk about a couple of things before we get going, but one thing I didn't message you guys about was, and I really think it's significant, Jonathan Quick becomes the all-time winningest U.S. goalie, 3-time Stanley Cup winner, 2 of which he had a lot to do with, and 1 he didn't have anything to do with, but he was on the team. He has looked really good for the Rangers. I think at times he's been the better goalie. Shesterkin did not play well the first 2/3 of the season, in my opinion. Shesterkin's only been good the last couple of games here. So, we'll see how that goes. Shesterkin's been really good. I think the Rangers are a really good team. I think every team is flawed, but so anyway, give me your thoughts on Jonathan Quick, and we'll move on to the next couple topics here.
Yeah,
you both go ahead.
Sure. Jonathan Quick is. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you're good. You're 100%. Go, man. You're fine.
Okay, right on. Yeah. No, so I mean, Jonathan Quick, amazing. I mean, the fact that he's been doing this his whole career, and he comes in on this this New York Rangers deal, and he's making a contribution is huge. It's awesome. I think what it says to me though is a lot about the position. And if you look at the age of some of these playoff teams who have these older goalies, I mean, look at Florida Bobrovsky. Look at the Islanders putting Varlamov in. Look at, Wild aren't going to make it, but Fleury's playing. So I think this shows, the game is changing, but there's still a place for some older players, and in the crease is one of them. So Quick, he's one of the older guys in the league, and it's awesome to see him succeed.
Yeah, and just to add to what you said, I mean, he grew up a Rangers fan. He's from Connecticut. A lot of people from Connecticut are Rangers fans because they had their team, which Mr. Pearlo Wisdom is gracefully wearing on top of his head. The Hartford Whalers stripped from them. And so most of them did not follow that team to Carolina. Obviously, they can't go see them. And they're able to see the Rangers. You can go in. It's not far from a lot of Connecticut to get into New York. So I imagine it's 50-50 Rangers, Boston Bruins fans. So it's really cool to see that. Pearlo, give us your thoughts on Jonathan Quick, and we'll move to the next topic. You're muted, Pearlo. You muted yourself, which is no worries.
It's a cool story because he struggled in LA the last 2 years he was there.
Yeah, I agree.
Really had a tough time. And a lot of people had completely wrote him off. And I have to admit, I was one of those people. I thought, I don't know, you want to continue your career. But the Rangers gave him a shot. And man, oh man, has he looked good this year. He's had a fire in his belly. I think sometimes maybe things just get stale. Like you realize it's time to move on. Maybe he knew that a year or two before he was leaving LA, and he struggled with it, and and it showed in his play. But this year has been absolutely fantastic. Apparently, he's like totally bought into coming back next year to get his 400th win. 400 wins. Like this is a would you say first ballot, or would just
yes 100%. Yes,
first ballot Hall of Fame?
I mean, yes, 100%. I mean, Tom Barrasso just got in. I think I don't even want to spend any time talking about it. He's 100% getting in.
Yeah, but first ballot, like right off the bat. No doubt about it.
He's getting in right away. Yes. He brought LA, the second biggest market in the United States, their first and second cups. He was unbelievable in 2014. It's going to be a hard argument after it's all said and done to say he's not already the greatest U.S.-born goalie. Now we'll see Demko Ottinger, and I love a lot of the young U.S. kids coming up. The kid Wall is a U.S. kid in Toronto, but we'll see. I do think he is 100% a first ballot Hall of Famer. I said we were coming live from the surface of the moon. If you didn't get that joke, April Fools. That was in the original tweet, but I appreciate everybody that showed up. We've got 13 in. I think we're live on Instagram, but I had to restart my computer because I needed to clean some stuff. LA has just scored Kevin Fiala. I believe that makes that 2-1 with 14-12 left in the second. We're still 1-0 in Edmonton. I expect this to be St. Louis's last gasp. They've really got to give it to Edmonton here and probably get the W to have any outside shot of making the playoffs. So anyway, I just wanted to move on real quick. It looks like a couple of ECHL teams may be folding. That's really brutal. Both of which are in Canada. And I apologize. I will tell you those teams right now. They are the Newfoundland Growlers, which I know Terry Ryan played for them this year. That was kind of a really cool story. I think he's like 49 or something. And he came in as an emergency replacement. And then Trois Rivière Lions. I hope I said that wrong. Is that correct, Pearlo?
That's pretty close, actually.
Yeah. Really sucky. I don't know. There's a great article. If anybody's interested, just hit me up and I will either DM it or I'll tweet it out later after the show by Armand Klivicic from InsideTheRank.com. Anyway, Armand, I'm quoting your story. There's been plenty of speculation throughout the last few months about the Newfoundland Growlers and the Trois Rivières Lions. Financial woes as the end of the season is quickly approaching. The future of both franchises is starting to take shape. The Lions have been rumored to be having financials for the last couple of months as Deacon Sports Entertainment, as both the Lions and Newfoundland Growlers were rumored to be possibly folding. Still, it sounded like the Lions were in more trouble, especially with the Lions being one of the newer teams in the ECHL. Trois Rivières Futures now hangs in the hands of the Board of Governors, who vote whether the team will have to continue for the rest of the year under the league supervision. Wow, that can't be good. Anyway, I'm paraphrasing. That's just what I know. There's a lot more in the story. I'm not going to read the whole story to you. What are your thoughts, guys? Not good. Go ahead, Pearlo.
Well, I mean, I think you're going to see a little more of this, especially in those lower minor leagues. I think that they absolutely have to allow junior players to be able to go to the AHL or the ECHL, and they have to figure out a way that junior teams can still be competitive in doing that, because that's what's killing these leagues right now. You have junior players that are coming up and they can't put them into the AHL. They're too good for junior, and they're not allowed to go to the AHL. It's hurting the players, like you've seen with Lafreniere. Lafreniere surely should have been in the AHL.
He would have benefited from a year in the AHL, but they couldn't do it. Yeah, I agree.
Do it. So they just kept him and they played him up there because he wasn't going to do anything in junior. And I mean, I'm not really being critical here, because honestly, I don't know the answer. I just know they have to find an answer. I'm thinking that maybe one way you could do it is you could have like senior players be able to play one more year up until they're 22 or something, like they do in college hockey. So you've got a lot of real good veteran players that maybe won't be able to play the NHL, but they can dominate in junior and they draw fans in, instead of making guys like Lafreniere and other players like that have to go back to junior or not. And what's happening is the NHL is saying, you know what? I'm not going to help your league. Forget it. If you can't figure out a way that we can have our players be in the best development system that we can find, then we're going to keep them here. We're not going to even send them there anyway. So it's got to the point where they're not even sending the players back anyways. So there has to be a way. And I think one of the ways to do that is to increase the age limit and to increase the university level that they're allowed to have. If you play in junior 3-4 years, for every year you play in junior, you get a free Canadian university degree scholarship, right? So increase it and have the guys stay there a little longer. And then you've got these veteran players, these like almost like men that are able to put up huge numbers and can draw people in and then these first round picks that really are too good for junior but not good enough for the NHL can go where their development's going to be best. That's just off the top of my head. I don't know how that would actually work, but something has to be done there. So you say, well, how does this affect the ECHL? Well, the thing is they're not being fed very good players because there's a lot of players that should be in the AHL that are not there, which would take a spot away from a player that's in the AHL that probably shouldn't be there. And they could have a better quality product if they did this. So it's going to trickle down. And it has. And we're seeing it right now. And it's too bad.
Yeah, just real quick to ask you, Pearlo, wouldn't it make sense to, like, you've got juniors 16, 17, 18, and 19. Those that should be because can't you play even as a 20-year-old in juniors? I feel like that's too old. And I think if you're wanting to continue your hockey player, whether you're drafted or not, you should be allowed to go to the ECHL and play. And I think if you had 20-year-olds coming into the ECHL, by then you're basically full on an adult. You're almost legal everything except for renting a car in the US here. Yeah, your camera froze, but you look like $1 million. So I was just putting you front and center. No worries. I was just going to say, it looked like Edmonton scored, but St. Louis challenged it. So we'll see what happens here. They're reviewing it right now. It looks like no goal. I think it's because of offsides. They're getting pretty good at these reviews. So it is still 1-0 Edmonton. That would have been a Nugent Hopkins goal. Okay. So again, hugely important game for the St. Louis Blues. And I know the Oilers are trying to make a run at the number 1 spot in the Pacific. I don't see it happening. You're going to tell me Vancouver's going to fall completely apart. They haven't had Demko, and they're going to get him back momentarily. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I don't know what the right answer is, but I will tell you, I believe that it's only a matter of time before Canadian junior players will be allowed to come play in the NCAA, which they could play. So if let's say you played Canadian juniors till you're almost 20, that only takes you to about 24, 25 in the NCAA. That is beneficial for the player. It's beneficial for the schools. You're going to get men. Look, Quinnipiac, I don't know. Did you guys watch any of the games this weekend? Were you guys able to watch any of the college games? The Quinnipiac-Boston college game. Quinnipiac was the national champion, and we're going to talk a little bit about them. Kind of waiting to hear about if we get our special guest. But Quinnipiac won. I was at the game last year. They beat Minnesota, heavily favored. They were just such a defensively well-coached team. They don't get all the greatest prospects, but they have men. They have adult men who are playing hockey at a high level. A couple of their guys are going to sign with teams. One, in fact, did. The guy who scored the overtime game winner in the national championship. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But it benefits these kids. They can go right into the NHL. This kid can play for the team he free agently signed with because he wasn't drafted. I think also because of the pandemic and scouting for the last half decade, a lot of good kids have fallen through the cracks that otherwise would have maybe potentially been drafted. And I'm going to take this off. I apologize. Lebowski's a little hot, but I just think that this gives the kids another avenue to get viewed, get looked at by NHL teams, and the level of competition is so good. And also, This is, if you don't know this is really what benefits these kids going to the NCAA. If you're drafted and you go to the NCAA, you only have to wait it's 4 years from your draft point and you become a free agent. But if you do out your entire college time and you don't want to sign with the team, obviously Adam Fox did that and some other guys, you have a little bit more freedom to do what you want. Now, Adam Fox went to Harvard. He was getting a degree. So he was going to major in something. Oh, we got a rock'em sock'em fight right now between Evander Kane and, I apologize, I do not know who it is for the St. Louis Blues. 75. Tucker. Tucker gave him a run. He looks like a baby. So anyway, that was an incredible fight. 1-0 still. I'd give Kane the edge on that one. So good for that kid. He went, if you wear 75, chances are you're throwing knucks, huh? So anyway, yeah. Okay. Do you feel like you guys have said your piece about the NCAA, the World Juniors, and these ECHL teams folding? Occupancy, I didn't really hear from you on the ECHL. Where are you at with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with Pearlo. I think on the limit, increasing it, and for me, it's kind of a geography thing. I mean, Newfoundland is far east of Canada, right? And I don't know how many hockey organizations they have out there. I would guess it's not many. So if you're taking away hockey in a remote area, I don't think that's good for the sport. So in that respect, yeah, I'm a little disappointing, but yeah, it's tough. It's hockey is a sport. It's also a business, and it's hard to keep these teams going. I don't know what the reasons were specifically, but anytime you're taking a hockey team away from a small market, to me, that's disappointing.
Yeah, and it sucks too that both ECHL teams are Canadian teams. There are some Western, obviously East Coast Hockey League teams, Coachella Valley being one of the newer ones, and they were in the finals last year against Hershey Bears. Some are super strong in the AHL. I said ECHL. I apologize. The Coachella Valley is AHL. Yeah. So anyway, sorry. Dog barking, train of thought lost. St. Louis is on the power play, still 1-0. That goal is overloaded, and we're still 2-1, 8:58 left to go in LA. Puck has not dropped in San Jose, but I can't imagine they don't want to lose that game. If you're the Seattle Kraken, we're 30-13. The big news in that game, Shane Wright getting the call up. So that's going to be interesting. I think we still have Pearlo with us. Pearlo, you still with us?
Yeah, I'm going to probably go out and come back. I'm going to try something here.
Okay, just to leave you for thoughts, no worries. Don't worry about it, man. You look clear. We're hearing you loud and clear. So sometimes audio is just fine. Before you leave, just give us your thoughts on Shane Wright. No, I mean, go ahead and leave. Think about what you want to say about Shane Wright when you come back, okay? Occupancy and I will go over that. So, Occupancy, I'm just curious. I actually really I just want to give my 2 cents and then I'll turn it over to you. I really love what Ron Francis is doing. The big example was Lafreniere. Wright probably played an extra year in juniors. Now, the pandemic and stuff, that kind of hurt him. So that was more to do with that. And then there just wasn't room for him on the Seattle. And I think it was a good move. I think sometimes they rush these kids in the NHL. Lafreniere, I think, is a prime example of a guy that shouldn't have played in the NHL. And I don't think he'll play more. Oh, St. Louis scored, by the way, Braden Shen. So we are all tied up. Again, huge game for the St. Louis Blues. They're at home. They probably have to beat Edmonton in this game to have an outside shot to be in the playoffs. But again, that is an outside shot. So, yeah, just your thoughts on Shane Wright making his debut this season. And he's having a pretty good year for Coachella Valley by the all.
Yeah, he came up. I mean, he had some NHL games
last year.
Last year, yeah.
I just said his NHL debut this season. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think the player development is great. I mean, you have these networks of these teams who have a farm league for a reason, and they have a minor league team and for a reason. So, um, I think the kid, is going to be good. I mean, I think there's really talented scouts and management that are looking at all this, and I do agree with you. I like what Ron Francis is doing. So,
Yeah, he has 43 points, 20 goals, 23 assists, and 56 games played, +5 for the Coachella Valley Firebirds.
yeah,
And is 20. He's 20. So, like, if he's not even ready next season, it's not a big stressor for the Seattle Kraken because that's not how they're developing their players. Pearlo, go ahead. You're back live in color, and we can see you, and you're moving. So give us your thoughts.
If people, like, most people don't realize, like, fans don't understand exactly when a player is drafted, what scouts are saying, and all that sort of. Shane Wright was considered a little bit of a late bloomer guy right from the get-go. He had lots of talent, but he had a lot of work to do. There was some maturity stuff that they thought that he was going to have to work on. So he's right on pace. Like, people are slamming on this dude, but he's right on pace to what he is supposed to be. Not all players are set in their mindset to be NHL players right out of the get-go. I think he's going to be a very good player. I don't know how good of a player he's going to be, but he reminds me of, because I've watched a couple of AHL games to see how he's doing. He kind of reminds me of a Dano, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with having a Dano on your team, man. So,
well, with some higher end skill too, right? I mean, he's almost a point per game player in the AHL, and I will tell you, I don't think that league is that far off from the NHL.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's progressing well for what scouts thought he would do in the league. How long he would take. He's right on pace. So anyone that's out there thinking that he's a bust and all that nonsense, no, not at all, not at all. He's progressing very well, and he looks like he's going to be a darn good player. I mean, maybe he's even more than that. It's hard to say, but nothing wrong with having a Deno on your team. I'll tell you that right now. I'd take him in Edmonton all day long.
So since we've been talking about Shane Wright, all hell is broken out loose in Winnipeg, and it is now 3-2 the Kings. So that score is being up to date as we speak. LA has just scored to go up 3. I think that was Kempe or Anze Kopitar. It's Brossoit in net, but again, I'll tell you what, nobody has looked good for the Winnipeg Jets as of late. It has been kind of a crazy thing. So it looks like we're getting a lot of people on Twitter, so I really appreciate the people or X. Not as many on YouTube tonight, but we do take the weekends off. And as the playoffs go, we may change that just because of all the things. Probably will not take time off. So when guys can come on, we can have them on. I'll try to get as many more guests. I think you got to understand Ron Francis probably knows a little something about hockey, and I have faith. I like that they're taking a little bit different approach than the Vegas Golden Knights. I think they had no choice. I think all the general managers were wise to the expansion draft where Vegas kind of maybe fleeced some teams. Seattle didn't have that opportunity. I think a lot of people were like, why didn't they? But I think they put together a pretty decent team with a lot of good vets. They thought, hey, this is a decent foundation. Maybe we are a playoff team, and they weren't the first year. They were the second, and they're obviously not going to be this year. I think it's going to benefit them. I hope they get a top 5 pick. They just need some offensive creativity in that lineup, and hopefully Shane Wright can be a part of that going forward. Okay. The final thing I wanted to talk to you about before we talk about the college free agent signing, just in case we get our special guest, is the expanded playoffs. And the only guy nationally that's on this is Elliot Friedman. And I actually am on Elliot's side. And the reason I'm on his side is more games mean more gate. Hockey is very much a gate sport. More gate and more money means more cap, and the fans want more cap. Everybody wants more cap space. More cap space means more higher quality players on teams that are competing for the Stanley Cup. I personally don't think we'll see it until we see expansion. What do you guys think about expanded playoffs? Before I throw it over to you, though, I want you to remember baseball has done it, NFL has done it, the NBA has done it, and none of them have regretted it. And it's more money and it's more eyes and it's more on their thing. And I already know the Stanley Cup playoffs are big, but when they had 16 making it when we had 21 teams. So don't give me that half the league makes it and that's the right answer. No, they had 16 making it when we had 21 teams in the NHL. So I just don't see it. Now, what do you think? Pearlo, go ahead.
I'm all over it. I've been saying that for a long time. I'm all over it, for sure. More playoffs, more people, more teams in the playoffs, more chance for organizations to be able to be more successful. Yeah, I think the purist side on this, and I'm kind of a purist in some ways, I guess, but I think the purist side on this is kind of snobby and actually a little ridiculous. It doesn't make it any less difficult to make the playoffs, and it's more fun. It's about fun, right? So if there's more parity, there's more chance your team's going to make it. There's more teams that are going to make it. And we're in a situation in the NHL right now where we could be in a boom right now. We're booming, right? So the more markets that are in the playoffs, the more fans that we're creating, and the more the NHL is going to grow. There's absolutely no reason that it isn't going to happen. There's no doubt about it. There's not an owner out there that doesn't think this is a good idea. It's happening. No doubt about it. And it should.
Before occupancy goes, like, think of a fan base like the Buffalo Sabres. They haven't made the playoffs in like 15 years. It's just brutal for that fan base. It's absolutely brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And those fans have stopped caring. I mean, they sold out the whole entire arena to the Leafs the other day. Like, that was a home game for Toronto. It was like 95%. Seattle, by the way, Blues are on a 2-man advantage for about 20 seconds. Still 1-1. Go ahead, Occupancy. Give us your thoughts, and then.
Yeah, no, I absolutely think they should expand it. And, I think what the NBA did is, what is it, either a best of 3 or is it a knockout? It's kind of like the first.
I think it's a one game. Yeah.
It's a one game. And I think that would be great for the sport, because it's like in the last 2 weeks of the season, you don't want your fans tapping out. You don't want to, you want them to stick it into the end. And, if markets like Minnesota and St. Louis are having a chance to get it, even one game, a game. Something.
I say best of 3, but
best of 3. That'd be excellent. And so I'm all for it. I mean, I don't really see a downside. I mean, if you want to lock up like the top 2 or top 3 seeds and even give them a bye, in that first kind of knockout round or something, just to make it more, incentivized to finish in the top 2 or 3, then fine. But I think open it up to 1 or 2 more teams, 1 through 9, even 1 through 10. Now, I mean, you look at the map again, and you got this whole part of the U.S. that's not going to have playoff hockey because of this. St. Louis and Minnesota, or the Midwest, and the Great Lakes area. If Detroit, falls out, then there's another Great Lakes team who's not making it. And you're like neglecting a huge part of the country. I mean, the huge hockey fans are out in those areas, and you're not going to have one playoff team. So, I think it would be a good thing for the league.
Yeah, 100%, man. And just like Pearlo said, it makes absolutely no sense to not have a team. It just makes no sense to not have a team that could be in play, and you're not alienating another group of fan bases. So if you figure we say 16 get in, the total is now 20, right? If we go to 34, it's still a big thing. And then you just go best of 3, and this is how you reward. This is how you reward the fans of these maligned fan bases, and they get a chance to get in, and you give them hope. And you never know, one day Looks like we're all tied up in Winnipeg. Thanks for popping in, Hot Take Hockey. Appreciate you very much. I do not think we're going to get our special guest. So let's talk about the signing. The Toronto Maple Leafs signed Jacob Quillen, the overtime game winner hero, in the national championship last year for Quinnipiac. And so he's a Newfoundland kid. Speaking of which, we were talking about that earlier. What do you think of this signing? You guys may not know a lot about the player, but I can tell you they're well coached, very hockey savvy, and like defensive first in Quinnipiac. I mean, they just defensed Matthew Nyes in that Minnesota Golden Gophers last year, and by all accounts, Minnesota was a stacked team. I don't know, what are you guys' thoughts on that signing? That happened today. If you don't have any, you can come back later in the week if you want to do some research. Obviously, you don't have to say anything off the cuff if you don't know anything about the player.
Who is the guy?
His name is Jacob Quillen. He was a senior at Quinnipiac.
Oh yeah, that senior. Yeah. Guy just
he was an undrafted college free agent. Yeah. I'm sure a lot of teams were talking to him after last year after Quinnipiac's performance. I talked about that Justin Hiroshi kid from was a Quebec kid that played for Northeastern. I thought this kid reminds me of Patrice Bergeron. Maybe not with the high end skill, but he was also undrafted. Of course, Jim Nill and the Dallas Stars sign him. They can't get any more talent rich in their pool, but they bring that kid in. I would have talked him out of that. I said, come over to Washington, man. You'll be on the team next year. We'll need you. No, if you don't know anything about the player, do some research. But and also shout out Hot Take Hockey. He did a great video on the kid. It looked like it was coming close. Him and the other kid, and his name escapes me, but Daily Faceoff talked about it today. The other kid from Quinnipiac that was undrafted. The other guy, he's an American kid. I think he's got a lot of suitors too. I think his NHL ceiling is probably a little bit lower than Quillen. Oh, Graff. Thank you, Hot Take Hockey. Graff. Yep. He actually had a goal in the game against Boston College yesterday, but he also had kind of a bad turnover too. So that was a great game, by the way, guys. It was I think it was 5-5 or 6-5 overtime. Anyway, great game. Boston College had to come back with all their talent with Ryan Leonard and Will Smith and Lane. You just very good. It was an awesome game, and they came back. So anyway, give us your thoughts.
Well, I heard about the kid, and I checked him out. I saw some of his highlights and stuff like that. He looks kind of like for the Rangers there, that they signed him not too long ago. And, he's been a good player, but he hasn't been like a huge offensive player. Just give me a sec. I don't know why his name is not coming to my the Rangers signed him. Wow, they signed him and then they traded him and then brought him back. Give me a sec. I'm going to Cap Friendly here. I'll tell you in a second.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, I don't even know if it accounts against their cap right away. But I do believe he can play for them because he's a unrestricted college free agent. And I think they have rules with those guys. I think he could play for them in the playoffs. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you thinking of Jimmy Vesey?
Vesey, that's it. Yeah, Vesey, yeah.
Thank you to Hot Take Hockey in the chat for saying
he reminds me of Jimmy Vesey. He reminds me of Jimmy Vesey quite a bit. Yeah, is that kind of player. And nothing wrong with that. Jimmy Vesey's had a really good, solid career, big dude. But he's kind of that third line, middle six, kind of guy like that. But he came a long way. He didn't get drafted because I think it was his foot speed was mostly the problem. But the guy's worked his balls off to get to where he is right now. So I mean, I think he's going to be, a surefire NHLer. The way he worked his way up to that.
I love the signing for Toronto. Occupancy. Do you have any thoughts on Jacob Quinlan?
I don't know.
Jacob Quillen.
Yeah, not specifically, just more of a general kind of comment on if is he going to play this year?
Yeah, I think they might bring him in. I believe he plays center too. I think they might bring him in to play bottom six for them because he's such a smart defensive hockey player, and that's preached a lot in Toronto. So we'll see. We'll see though.
Yeah, is it Brindamore's kid is on Quinnipiac, right?
He was.
He was.
I believe. Yeah, he has he signed a deal. I think he might actually be in the Canes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this kid's probably had a ton of NHL. I mean, you said he went undrafted, but I mean he's probably been dreaming about this for a long time. So congrats on him. Anytime you sign a big deal, in a spotlight, kind of way, that's great. Good for him. And they throw him in. I was just gonna say, sometimes these players, they bring them in on a plan, but some don't. Some they just toss in and they say, see how you can do it. And if he's one of those kids and he's playing with this current Leafs team and he can, make a name for himself, then good on him.
Yeah, so Skylar Brindamore is with the Florida Panthers organization, and he actually played a couple of games for them last year in Florida. And I want to say he might have actually been an undrafted guy too. I think, or he had stayed long enough he was able to sign with whoever he wanted as like a free agent. So, but anyway, Skylar is with the Florida organization, and I haven't looked at his numbers. I can check those out if you're interested.
But they played together. They were on like the same team, right? Or
yes, yeah, he played last year. He was on the national championship team. Skylar Brindamore was, yes, absolutely.
Right. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean that's that's a good program, I'm sure, over there. What's that? Rhode Island, right? Quinnipiac or
I think it's in Connecticut.
Connecticut. Yeah, it's up there. It's up there.
Rand Pecknold is the coach.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm looking to see what Skylar has done this year. He's been playing in the AHL with the Charlotte Checkers. He's played 47 games. He has 8 points and he's a -14. So may not see Skylar Brindamore in the NHL for a few years. Hot Take has a question. Caps signed JVR in the offseason. Hot Take? Maybe because his brother's there. Maybe, I don't know. He's fit really well with the Boston Bruins HTH, and I don't know that he would fit well with the Caps. They're getting younger and faster, except for Ovechkin. So we'll see. Speaking of Ovi, before we go on to picking the games, the legend is at it again. Subway and some Cheetos, man. Breakfast of Champions. John Buccigross was saying something about Ovechkin's diet. I said, what you don't understand is this is health food in Russia, John. So, yeah. Ovi. That's some clean living for Ovi compared to eating a Chernobyl or whatever the hell they eat over there in Russia. Little inside joke there with the Chernobyl. If you're a fan of the movie A Hot Tub Time Machine, you'll know what I mean. Let's talk about the 8 games we have on Tuesday, starting with my Washington Capitals, who are a road dog against the Buffalo Sabres, +114. What do you think, Pearlo?
Sorry, I was still looking up Quinlan. I was trying to find out how big this kid was.
Quillen. I think it's Jacob Quillen. Yeah.
Quillen, yeah. I was trying.
Yeah, I'll get it for you. I'll get it for you. No quick. Let's do a quick pause. Everybody pause. Go ahead and give me your picks.
Okay, so we're looking at which game? Winnipeg or Washington Buffalo?
Yep, Washington is +114 road dog.
I gotta take the plus money. That's pretty much even money. I mean, I'll give them a shot. They're gonna have lingering in. Buffalo has a tendency to crap the bed at home, and Washington needs it way more. I think they care way more, and I'll give them a shot at plus money there.
Yeah. I agree with you. I ride the Caps. They need to win this game. This is the most winnable game left on their schedule. They have to win this game. It's imperative. It'll put them back into third place. And I think they need to try to not, get as many points as they can because there are teams underneath. The Islanders still coming. As far as Jacob Quillen, he is 6 foot, 196 pounds.
Yeah.
So little short, boxy guy, but smart defensive guy. And and like I said, he's from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. I said Newfoundland, but Nova Scotia. I apologize.
VC's a little bigger than him, but he really reminds me of VC in the type of game.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Anyways.
And I could have went over his numbers, but I want to get into the game breakdown here. Hopefully Rico's back tomorrow. Rico, we miss you. Enjoying your vacation with your family in the Ottawa area. Go ahead, Occupancy. Give us your thoughts on Caps Sabres.
Yeah, for sure. The Caps went on that run. They still picked up 7 points in the last 5 games. That's compared to 4 points picked up in Buffalo's last 5. Buffalo's win 1, lose 1. Can't string wins together. They're coming off, the win Friday night Jersey and then the loss 0-3 to Toronto. I mean, this is only looking at Washington here. I think the game's way more important for Washington, as we said. Washington last 5, even goal differential, 17-17. Buffalo's a -6. So, they're not keeping the puck out. And with the plus money, I don't think Buffalo should be minus 130, 135 favorites. I think is mispriced. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. So I'll be looking at Washington or nothing.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's move on to the next game. The Panthers at the Canadiens. Canadiens are a home dog plus 190. It is a back-to-back for the Florida Panthers. I do think they're going to come out pissed after their play against Toronto, and they were down 5-1 in this game. It really wasn't close until late, until they showed up in the third. Pearlo, what are you thinking here? Panthers, Canadiens.
No, I agree with you. I can't see Florida coming soft here. They're going to be. I like Florida first period puck line, and the Stolarz has been like one of the most underrated goaltenders, and he's going to be in, and they're going to be going up against Malton Bull, who I believe started in Florida, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it's going to be Malton Bull. Anyway, so that'll be an interesting matchup there, but I think Florida is going to come correct in the first period for sure. So I'd take Florida minus 0.5 first period.
Oh, by the way, from the 32 Thoughts, little report. Spencer Knight looks incredible in the AHL right now, doing really well.
Good.
So Florida has that ace up their sleeve. So that'll be interesting to see. Arvidsson has a goal tonight for the Kings, by the way. Good to see him back and doing some damage. Go ahead, Occupancy. Give us your thoughts on this Panthers-Canadiens game, and we'll move on to the next.
Yeah. No, that was I'm glad to hear about Knight. Florida's planning for the future. I think Stolarz and Knight are going to be a great combo, and Bobrovsky either, steps away or they do a 3-man kind of rotation. Who knows? But that's great to hear about Knight. Look, this game, the books are on it. I mean, we used to be getting plus 200s to back Montreal, like with Colorado and all these other teams. And I mean, I'm not trying to get greedy, but a plus 165, plus 170, when last week this was over a plus 200. I mean, I'm not going to take a shot with Montreal. I wanted the bigger cash for that one. But Montreal, they've been playing well. I mean, they beat the Kraken, the Avs, and then the
Colorado
Flyers.
in Colorado.
Yeah. So I mean, Montreal's playing tight. I mean, maybe I'd look under. I think it's at a 6, I think, but no side for me. And I think I'd look under with this one.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't give you guys the over-unders. The Capitals Sabres over-under 6.5. That's probably an over. It is a 6. Panthers, Canadiens. You said you like the under in that game?
Yeah.
Okay. Again, Florida on a back-to-back, so that might benefit Montreal a little bit too. Let's go to the next game. Penguins at Devils. Penguins are a road dog plus 142. Now, Penguins played tonight in New York. The over-under is 6.5. Go ahead, Occupancy. Why don't you just start us up with that one? Penguins at Devils. Penguins at plus money. They actually played a pretty good game tonight in the first 2 periods. I will say they did get some lucky breaks, some calls. I think the Rangers could have got back into that one. Probably 2 goals that were scored that were disallowed for various reasons. Devils absolutely have to win. They're fighting for their playoff lives. Occupancy, give us what you got.
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a really tough one. I don't know what New Jersey was doing on Friday night. I don't know how they couldn't go in and beat Buffalo. They need these
Brutal
wins,
loss.
and Pittsburgh. I mean, they're having fun out there. Crosby had a pretty nice goal. The deflection tonight, I saw that one. Him and Shesterkin are getting. So Pittsburgh, they're playing how they're playing. Back to back. I mean, I would think New Jersey, but I'm not going to pay that price. So for me, it probably ends up being a pass.
Okay. Pearlo, give us your thoughts.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the price, but I think Pittsburgh blew their wad against the Rangers here. To tell you the honest truth, this was the one they want to win. I don't think they're going to care so much about playing against New Jersey. They're out of the playoffs now, and it's not going to happen for them. So I would probably lean New Jersey. That's about all I could say. It is a tough game. Maybe Pittsburgh keeps it rolling, but I honestly don't see it.
Okay. The next game is also a back-to-back for the Islanders. They are home. They host the Blackhawks. Again, you talked about the Devils losing to Buffalo. I think the loss of the season was the St. Louis Blues against the San Jose Sharks. They absolutely needed to win that game to keep their playoff hopes alive. Of course, they need to win this game against Edmonton tonight. It is 1-1. They're on a 4-on-3 power play as we speak. The St. Louis Blues. Been a lot of penalties called in this game. I 100% agree. The Islanders have to win this game. The over-under is 5.5. What are you thinking here, Pearlo? Give us your thoughts. Plus 190 for the Blackhawks. By the way, they had a big win this weekend too, did they not? The Blackhawks, they beat a team they shouldn't have beat.
Who was it? And they also had
Flyers. They beat the Flyers 5-1 on Saturday.
Yeah. Brutal.
Yeah.
How do you lose that game? My God.
Yeah.
I could just imagine Tortorella after that game. You can't lose that game. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, just give us your thoughts on Blackhawks Islanders real quick and we'll move on. Plus 190 for Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, the Islanders will probably win. I have no faith in them to do so, though. They just got a point from Philadelphia. Sorokin will be in net against Mrazek. Yeah, I would say the Islanders win, but the price isn't going to be worth it. Like, I'd probably just avoid this game all the hell because I wouldn't be surprised if they crapped the bet against Blackhawks too. I don't have any faith in that team. So,
yeah. Go ahead, Mr. Islanders fan. Let's see.
Yeah,
you can't pick the Blackhawks here, so
it's been a roller coaster for sure for the Islanders team there. We're getting Sorokin in. I don't think he necessarily deserves to be second, but I get why he hasn't been good and he's letting up 3 too easily and it's too much. And I get it. You got to tighten the belt every now and then. I get it. But he, ultimately, if he can't stop the Blackhawks, then there's a problem. Like then again, it's even a bigger problem.
I like the over in this game at 5.5.
Yeah, because if the Blackhawks press, they come out. I mean, they scored 5. Blackhawks haven't been scoring, so if they scored 5 against Phillies, a defensive-minded team, I mean, I think it would be the over. I mean, the price is on the money line. I'm just not going to pay minus 250 for the Islanders tomorrow.
I'm getting minus 230 from DraftKings, but I 100% agree with you. Again, I get my lines for Bleacher Report, who uses DraftKings. We don't have a book in Alaska where I'm coming from. Pearlo and Occupancy both do some inventive things. Pearlo has Alberta-specific stuff he can use, but all of Canada, Bet365, all that. And Occupancy's a California guy. They also don't have gambling, so he's got to run over to the border and bet all his games in Nevada. Just kidding. You just drive, place your bet, come back. That's not what he does, but we're just kidding. Okay, let's move on to the next one. This is actually a really great game. This is going to be the game. It's going to be going on while we're live. Well, let's talk about Sens Wild first. Sens plus 120. Wow, Sens have won 5 or 6 in a row. I think the Sens all day after the Wild pull the goalie. Plus 120 Sens, over under 6. Go ahead, Occupancy. Just kick that one off, and we'll throw it over to Pearlo.
Yeah, there's no team. The only 2 teams right now on 5-game winning streaks, or maybe even more, but Dallas and Ottawa have taken they're 5 for 5 right now, both of them. So Ottawa, man, that was maybe the easiest over I was on last week with the over 6, and they scored with 4 goals in the first period. It's great. I mean, good for them. I mean, they're playing.
They're finally playing what they should have been playing all year.
They're playing motivated. They're playing hard. They're scoring. They're getting good net minding from Korpisalo and Forsberg. So I like the plus money with Ottawa. Minnesota, as Beer just said, they kind of had that risk. Bite them. So let's go with Ottawa.
Senators have won 5 in a row, and the Stars have won 7. In contrast, the Jets have lost 6 in a row, and the Flyers have lost 5 in a row. Really bad for 2 playoff teams to be in that. And then sneaky, the Oilers have won 3 in a row, and the Ducks have lost 5 in a row. Just some outside Ducks don't really mean anything. But okay, so Pearlo, give us your thoughts on that Senators Wild game, and we'll move on to the next game, which I was praising.
The only thing that I want to take Ottawa here too, but Minnesota is 9-1-0 in the last 10 against Ottawa.
I love that stat. That's why we have you. You're a brilliant handicapper, man. That's why we have you on.
They've kind of owned them. They kind of own them a little bit, but it's Minnesota. Like Hartman just got suspended for 3 games, so they're not going to be with him. And I think it's a tough spot here. I think it's a tough spot for both teams. I think I would just keep rolling with Ottawa, at least playing offense, and Minnesota having to catch up and take the over on the 6 here. I think that's probably what I would do here. Is like I just don't.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's what I love. Okay, Pearlo, why don't you kick us off for this next game? And this is a game I'm really supremely interested in. The over-under is 6. It is in Nashville. Nashville is a home dog plus 102. They've kind of come back to earth the last couple of games. Bruins visit Nashville. Where do you think on that one?
This is like got draw written all over it.
Okay.
Both teams get a point. It should be a hard-fought game.
Nashville's lost 2 in a row.
Yeah, I think the question here is how much does Boston really care about beating Nashville compared to how much Nashville cares about beating Boston. So with that in mind, I try to look at that, like where's the greatest motivation? I'm not sure Boston has this huge motivation to beat Nashville in this spot.
So I don't think Boston's a better team than Nashville right now, to be honest with you. But go ahead.
Yeah, and there's that. I mean, there's that too. So I think I would lean Nashville money line, yeah, for sure.
Yep, I'm with you 100%. I like the Predators all day long, plus 102. Occupancy, go ahead. Over under 6 again.
Predators for me as well. Boston's sneakily been pretty bad of late. Only getting 2 wins her last 5 there. So, maybe, I don't know. Interesting to hear what you guys think about kind of this last, few weeks for teams who are sort of already in, and are they pushing the gas to the pedal? I mean, some teams are, but I mean, and I don't want to call out efforts, but, are these teams really playing through 82? I mean, we'll see some benchings, some of the top players will not play in the last couple of games there. But, do you think they take the gas off, a week or 2 early? I mean, that's kind of, I just don't think Nashville's doing that. I mean, I could see maybe Boston's been around a little longer. Maybe they are, but I don't think Nashville will. But I don't know what you guys think about that. I mean, do you think teams, kind of slow down or not really?
I just think in Boston's case, they've been completely bailed out by their goaltending. I have heard that if they lose in the first round, the GM and the coach are gone, which that's a rumor I heard. I I would be shocked, but I heard Cam Neely. From what I've heard, I heard this. I've heard Cam Neely has Sweeney at his office every day after a loss. And I honestly think Boston has had a pretty significant year, considering what they lost. So yeah. Well, let's jump on to the next one real quick. Don't spend any time on this one. Ducks at Flames. It's who cares? Any props? I like maybe Blake Coleman to get his 30th goal. Since we lost Pearlo, Occupancy, go ahead and give us your thoughts on Ducks Flames, and I won't even let Pearlo call this game because the over under is the over under in that game is 6. If you care.
Yeah, no, I really don't have much for this one. You know, but
I might take the Ducks at plus 190. They've been playing decent. They gave a run for their money to Vancouver, but I think it's a waste of time. I don't like the Coleman prop. Go ahead, Pearlo, real quick.
Anaheim, Calgary.
Yeah,
just take the dog for the hell of it. Why not?
Okay. Yeah,
I don't think either one of them care too much about the game, but somebody's got to win it, so you might as well take the dog.
Yeah. And I think Calgary won their game this on Saturday too. They beat the Kings 4-2. So again, just when you think somebody's dead to rights, you never know. But I have liked the effort I've seen from the Ducks at the end of the year here. And they seem to be at full strength. Okay, the 8th and final game for tomorrow is another good one. Canucks visit the Vegas Golden Knights. This is a significant game for the Vegas Golden Knights. They got to keep winning to keep that second spot. I think Edmonton is the team they want to play in the first round. I think if you're Edmonton, you want to play them in the first round because I just think it benefits you. You could catch them. You don't want Vegas in the second round if they make it out of the second round because they're just going to get more chemistry with those new guys. I heard Hurdle's back on the ice skating in a red shirt, so we could see him within the next. I mean, hopefully they get him in the final couple of games here. Canucks are plus 110 road dogs. The over-under is 5.5. Pearlo, who do you like in this barn burner?
Vegas all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
No hesitation, huh? Have not liked Vancouver. Now is still Casey DeSmith. That's probably a heavy workload for Casey DeSmith since he was Pittsburgh starter when they lost Jari a few years ago. So I don't think he's completely not used to it, but yeah, no, I love it. You're not wasting it. You're not mincing any words. You've got the feel. Vegas Occupancy. What do you think here?
Yeah, I'm on the same side. Vegas has put it together, a couple impressive wins, and Vancouver on the other side. I think we're seeing their goalies getting worn out. I mean, they're only their wins are against low class teams. They've only beat Anaheim, Calgary, and Montreal, and they lost to LA and Dallas. So Vancouver's not beating the tough team. So let's go Vegas. Kind of see how you want to get involved with it. It's a money line or a regulation line kind of thing, or even a puck line. But I like Vegas tomorrow.
By the way, score update in your neck of the woods. The Seattle Kraken have potted 2 goals against the San Jose Sharks. It's Matty Beniers and Oliver Bjorkstrand. Not a surprise there. Just 6:36 left in the first in that game. That should reflect in the scoreboard. Guys, thank you so much. We had a great show. All 8 games. We talked about the games tonight. You still got 3 really good games. LA is all knotted up 3-3 with the Winnipeg Jets. Again, I think this is a massive game for the Winnipeg Jets. I don't think it matters as much to LA, but I think the Jets have to end this skid. And then we've got Edmonton and St. Louis, and basically a must-win for St. Louis. Of course, Edmonton's trying to shoot for that top spot in the Pacific. Is there anything you guys wanted to talk about that we didn't talk about earlier? If not, jump into your final thought. Pearlo, we'll start with you.
I'd go toward. We're going to talk more about the playoffs again, but later. I'm a little okay. We were talking about some teams taking their foot off the gas pedal. It looks like you're seeing that kind of in Boston. It looks like Florida is sort of doing that as well. And both of those teams are teams that have won the President's Trophy in the past, and then crap.
That's not how that worked out for either of them.
In the first round, crop the bed in the first round. But I don't know. I kind of wonder if this can just bite you in the ass just as much. Usually what happens is when hot teams go into the playoffs hot, they generally do better than teams that are kind of taking their foot off the gas and kind of have to turn it back on again. So it's a weird balance how it works out. So what I'm kind of like long-winded way of I'm really looking at Tampa this year. I'm really looking at Tampa. You look at Tampa.
I don't disagree with you, but they just can't string a bunch of games together, Pearlo. And then tonight they should have owned the Red Wings. The Red Wings are not good. I just don't think they're good, and they ended up losing that.
I've owned them for a long
time.
That's
a bad loss, man. And that's every time I think, good God, no one wants to play Tampa. But I'll say this. I think the Bruins do not match up well against Tampa. I think there are certain teams that Tampa, it's all about the matchups, right? Anyway, I didn't want to steal your thunder. Continue with your thought.
Okay, but I mean, there's like a lot. The sexy pick right now is Nashville because how well they've been doing going into the playoffs. But it is kind of like a weird balance where you want to rest players, but you still want to be successful. And I don't know. I'm a little. Maybe Florida is able to turn it around. Paul Maurice is one of the best coaches of all time, so he knows what he's doing, I suppose. But it is a little troublesome to see them. They're really not looking good. Like really not looking good.
I mean, hopefully the third period is a reflection of them putting their game back together. Because that was solid.
Yeah, that's all I had to say about that, I guess. I don't know if I actually said anything, but
no, it was good, man. No, I think what you're saying is a couple of teams might be sandbagging because they're resting players and this, that, and the other. I think especially teams that know they've clinched, and I wonder if the rise in the standings is really beneficial. I think the Rangers have the number one seed. Again, I'm surprised they lost to Pittsburgh. Not for a lack of trying. They should have probably won that game. But I don't disagree with you, man. I think what you're saying has some validity. Occupancy. Go ahead, man. Give us your give us something you want to talk about that we didn't talk about, or your final thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually was digging the topics we covered today on the show. Got a lot of different views and angles and discussions on this. It's always good. I mean, it's a great game. It's a game we all love. Look, I mean, this is I've been talking about this. This is my favorite time of the year. By all means, this is where even if teams are sandbagging, right on the other side of the coin, you got the teams working as hard as they can every single shift. So you get, and that's what I'm trying to look for here. I really am, like, especially with betting, because we hear it's tough to handicap something based on season stats, but you got to look at every situation, every game, every day is different. And anyway, that's one thing. But I'm really happy with some of these efforts that these teams are putting out there. Really, like tonight, Islanders should have won in reg, but they still got the job done. Brock Nelson gets his 30th goal of the season. That's 3 years in a row of 30 goals. Bo Horvat also got his 30th goal of the season, 500 points total for his career. So, I mean, it's not sexy. The Islanders are not a sexy team, but look, you get a 30 goal scorer in the NHL. That's a big deal. So two guys.
I agree.
So I would, and they're working hard. I mean, it was funny. I think Kim was actually at Islesgrove, was at the event, but they had a question and answer, the Islanders. And I was maybe last week or something. And this kid gets on the mic and he goes, "So do you guys going to make the playoffs this year?" and everyone kind of like laughs and is like, "Yeah, like we're trying, we're really trying." But that's the thing is like these, these they are, and I think Kyle Palmieri had a really good post game speech. I was just on Hofstra Radio listening, and they're trying to get there. They want to get there. So you got a couple teams.
Let me ask you a question real quick about the Islanders, since you're our resident Islander fan on the show.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you almost want to miss the playoffs this year? Like get a little bit of injection of some young talent. They didn't add anybody at the trade deadline. You've got a lot of guys long on the tooth, and you can only go on so many runs to the Eastern Conference Finals and not really reload. Now I know they added Horvat and stuff like that last year, and obviously I think Patrick Waugh was a huge add for them. I think nothing against Lane Lambert. I have a lot of love for that guy. He was an assistant coach on the Caps 2018 team. I don't think he's a bad coach. I just think the situation wasn't good for him there. And maybe he wasn't ready to be a head coach either. I kind of thought the way Trotz left that was not maybe the best, but I don't know what happened there. I think it worked out for Barry. Things seemed to go well for him in Nashville as a GM. As of right now. But I just, like I said, I think the same thing about the team Barry went to, the Nashville Predators. You're this team that competes for a very, very long time. You're in the playoffs all the time, but you never go on any great runs. And at some point you got to reload and get some youth in the, and I'm not saying that Nashville doesn't have that. They do have some young players playing for them, and they've got some young players coming up in their system in Milwaukee, but the Islanders do not have that. There's no young guy.
They got this Ishikarov guy who's always making the highlight reel in Bridgeport,
right?
In shootouts, but you're right. They don't have a huge network of young.
Listen to what you're saying in shootouts.
Yeah, I know. I know.
That's not you're grasping at straws, my friend.
I know.
Like, as a Capitals fan, we didn't make the playoffs last year, and we got Ryan Leonard, and I get to watch this kid for Boston College, and I'm excited. And now we're in contention for a playoff spot this year. But we even though we didn't make it last year, you just got a chance to get some younger talent injected in, because Ovi's going to retire in a couple of years. Some of John Carlson is going to retire in a couple of years. Those guys are going to be gone. So like next year, I'll tell you right now, I don't want to make the playoffs. Right. Gavin McKenna's coming soon. I want to be bad. I don't want to be a good thing. So anyway, Andrew says, how's it going? Finish your thought on the Islanders, and we'll call it.
It's they're going out there, and like you said, I mean, do you want to miss this year and reload? That's but I think with the playoffs, you get these matchups, and look, I mean, how many years have the Islanders just matched up really well against Boston and Pittsburgh?
Blues just scored to go up 2-1. Sorry.
Nice. No, you're good. So I think maybe for them, maybe they're not even thinking past the first round. Maybe they're just thinking, let's just get in. But, look, I mean, you're so close, and I don't think they're going to try to miss. I don't think that's what's going on.
No, I'm not saying you want to miss as a team. Like, those players are going to go out and play. I'm saying from your standpoint, or from Islanders Nation as a standpoint, is it the end of the world if you miss the playoffs?
No. And with this group, no. Because with this group, they've been around for a while now, that fourth line.
Right, exactly. And they've made the playoffs a considerable amount of time.
And they pushed them far.
They've been for one goal the Stanley Cup Finals twice.
I know. Yeah. But just to kind of wrap up here, I mean, it's every single day in the NHL we learn something, and we get a new kind of view at a team, and so it's cool. It's really cool. It's a cool time. It's a nice time to be a hockey fan. So excited to ride this one out with you guys, and kind of see how it all unfolds together.
And let me know if your schedule changes and you want to come on more. Wednesday, couple of great games on TNT. Devils Rangers. Devils aren't dead. That's always a great rivalry. And then the evening game. These are both TNT games for us in the States. Oilers Stars. I haven't been excited about watching an Oilers game in a while. This one here is an interesting one. I really appreciate everybody that came out. We had almost 20 people. Super appreciate it. Rico will hopefully be back with us tomorrow. He did say had to watch from a distance, and he loved the show. Thank you, Rico. We appreciate you. We're greatly missed. The show was probably 30 minutes shorter because we did have that extra gambling opinion, which is always nice to have Rico's perspective because he spends so much time on the game. We really appreciate all you guys. From Pearlo, Occupancy, I'm Jeremiah. We will see you tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern. Thank you very much.